notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Meetings Act. Mr. Barnett, will you lead us in the invocation, please?
Father God, I come to you on behalf of our school district. I thank you for all the people who are here tonight, sacrificing of their time and energy to be involved in the process, and I pray that you'll bless them for that. You know we have a lot of activity going on here, and we know that with the events and change come challenges. It's my prayer this evening that the decisions we make will be pleasing to you, and ultimately it will improve both our school district and our community. And I pray all this in the Son of Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, we have a packed agenda tonight. We're going to jump out of order a little bit so that everybody who came here can go ahead and get their comments in, because we are going to go into executive session for quite a while on other business. So we'll start with public forum. Before we do that, I'd like to read a statement just reminding you of our policy regarding public forum. This is the time when we allow citizens to address the board. Please feel free to submit to the board any documents relating to your topic that you may believe might be helpful in understanding your topic. We do not normally address your concerns tonight, and we may ask the administration to address your concerns in the near future and provide you an appropriate response. We may also respond by informing you of a specific factual information related to your topic, or recite to your existing policy concerning your topic. I picked the wrong night to forget my glasses. If your topic involves a personnel matter or a student matter, or if you contend that your legal rights have been violated or board policy not followed, we have specific grievance procedures for these matters, and now is not the appropriate time to discuss such matters. As a result, if you begin talking about one of these topics, you will be asked to stop speaking and directed to the appropriate grievance topic. We respectfully ask that you refrain from making personal attacks or rude or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. While it is not our intent to stifle public comment, speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. If you are unsure of the legal ramifications of what you are about to say, we urge you to consult first with your legal advisor. We also will not tolerate disruptions of the meeting by members of the audience. If, after at least one warning from me, any person continues to disrupt the meeting by his or her words or actions, I will recess the meeting and request assistance from law enforcement officials to have the disruptive person removed from the meeting. Under board policy, BED local, no presentation may exceed 5 minutes. I will let you know when you have 1 minute remaining and when you have 30 seconds remaining. In addition, if more than 5 people, which did not, so I'll just finish the policy. More than 5 people wish to speak on a particular topic, you'll be required to appoint 1 person to present your views to the board. We will now proceed. Mrs. Buckley, Patsy Buckley? 5 minutes enough, ma'am? Thank you.
My main concern right now is the teachers. We have a lot of good teachers that are not happy with their jobs. And we hear from a lot of them. You know, if we don't have happy teachers, we don't have happy kids. The teachers need to be treated better. They need not to be yelled and screamed at. This needs to be, addressed very seriously. We have a lot of teachers that are good teachers. And then the other concern that I have is about the money that is misappropriated, hiding somewhere in a closet, whatever. We need to find that money and put it back where it belongs. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Man, I honestly, I cannot read this signature. Whoever signed up to speak about teacher issues? And you don't even have your list. Paula, is it? Did Paula sign up to speak? It looks like a W. I think it's Paula Williams. Paula Williams. Did you sign up? Okay. Is 5 minutes enough okay now? Thank you.
I basically have the same issues. I mean, I've been fighting this fight for about 5 years. The teachers have always been an issue with me. The things that go on, the things that are being done, everybody knows what they are. This isn't the first time I've put things in the paper about it. I mean, we've got 8 churches in this town, and everybody talks about, oh, what would Jesus do? Well, I'm telling you right now, he would be very happy if he walked into the Vernia, I can tell you that much. This is ridiculous. I brought this week up back in October, and I was asked to leave. And then the issue came up in March when everything fell apart. And oh, I'm surprised I didn't hear about it before. That's a lie. I have been there to the office and addressed it with Dr. Harvey before.
Ma'am, that's what if you're mentioning names, you need to follow the grievance policy.
I didn't say a name, sir.
You just called Dr. Harvey. You said.
Well, I said I would just speak with Dr. Harvey.
Okay.
I didn't say no one else's name. But my issue is the same as Mrs. Buckley, is the teachers. I don't understand how we have a $500,000 field, or how we have a new gymnasium, $1.5 million, but we don't have enough teachers, enough aides to teach our kids. We're going to lose out on good teachers because of things that seem to be more important to the Vernia, or I should say the school district, than our teachers. I don't understand that. And I would just like some answers. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Muchagamba. Much has happened since we met last. But tonight, I still wonder. Accountability, where was it? Many student activity accounts for the course of 2 years at the junior high ran in a negative balance. An entire year ran in a negative balance. A loyal employee came over 2 years ago and was concerned about these issues. And yet, those activity funds still were not right, and no one had oversight or chose not to oversee those activity funds. Those sponsors asked over and over their principal to see those activity fund reconciliation accounts. I asked in Public Information Act to see the signed copies of reconciliation statements so that I could see the teachers had been reviewing those activity accounts. And through Public Information Act, there's no reconciliation statement with a signature. So we were not doing oversight on those accounts. There was concern, but there was no accountability. I wonder. When allegations came forth from loyal employees 2 years ago, at the very least, I think that oversight and accountability should have been there. And all that employees were told was, if she's your boss, you need to do what your boss tells you. I wonder. Recently, the superintendent said to me he would assure me that not even 1/4 of 1 cent would be spent by a reassigned administrator. But yet more furniture showed up in September at the annex because that administrator was still able to buy.
Get real close to divulging facts that we are aware of,
Okay.
and there's an investigation going on, and I hate to be removed from the process. So opinions would be great.
Community, you must continue to ask and demand answers. Community, get involved, ask questions, learn the education code, learn how an open meeting how the Open Meeting Act works. Understand public information. Consider a run for office. We've gone 3 or more election cycles with unopposed elections. Shame on us. Shame on us. There is an open exchange of ideas when there is a contested election. And we as a community are as much at fault. Shame on us. Be patient. There is an investigation going on as we speak. There is an in-depth forensic audit going on with original documents. Be patient. It's going to take a long time. Be careful. Only speak of facts. Leave rumor and conjecture alone. If you don't know it, don't say it. Just because you heard it doesn't make it true. There's a lot of misinformation, and it's our job to put a good face on Vernia. We need to only speak good of our community. We have a good school. We have great kids and amazing teachers. The truth will shine. The truth will prevail. The facts are relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mary Borger.
Some of the comments I've been reading about, I don't need that. Everybody can hear me. Lord knows I've got a voice. God gave it to me, I'm using it. Okay. But I'm not appreciative of some of the comments the papers have been making. It's disturbing. So I wrote this, and I'm going to read it if you don't mind, just to keep my mind on task. The board members in Vernia were all elected to the school board legally because they ran for the position and no one opposed them. There are those that can complain about who is on the school board, but the sad fact is that generally no one wants to be on the board. It can be a thankless job and interferes with your personal life. Board members give of their time with no recompense, and they're required by law to obtain school board training every year. Yes, the district pays for that part, but the board member must take off from work and be away from their family to obtain those hours. It is obvious not too many of us have wanted to be on the school board, including myself, since several of these board members have run unopposed. We cannot and should not have complained about those in office if we ourselves have not done anything. It is easy to sit back when everything is okay, but we shouldn't wait until things aren't okay before we do something. Yes, there are a number of employees related to the board members, and most of the time they are students who graduated from Vernia and loved the district so much that they wanted to come back and serve the school that served them so well. They should not be penalized by not being employed. We are a fairly small community with a large number of families that have resided here for many years. It should not be surprising that members of the board have relatives working for or volunteering for the district. Everyone who lives within the school district boundaries has a responsibility to the district because the district is teaching the children of our future. Our actions speak louder than words, and if we wanted to be a guiding force for our district, we would be here at the board meetings and or participating as a board member. And I'm speaking for myself as well. I'm as guilty as everybody. If a report is made that there's suspected misuse of funds, mistreatment of others, staff and or parents, or any other reports of malfeasance, an investigation should be launched by the school board immediately, and once verified, the guilty person or persons should be disciplined, whether it be through a growth plan, a reprimand, dismissal, or if necessary, legal action. If the information is true, the person making that report should never be afraid to come forward. The Whistleblower Act allows for people that blow the whistle on wrongdoing to not receive retaliation for reporting. We should never sit back and let someone else always manage. But I do expect those on the school board to ensure that there is appropriate oversight and that no one ever feels they have no voice. If that happens, they should be removed from office through our votes. Although some may feel their taxes are too high, the fact is that tax dollars are a very small part of the overall school district budget. Last year's budget shows that approximately 38% of the budget is local money, which means the other 62% is state. So yes, our tax dollars do count and are important for the district in order to provide what I believe to be one of the best educations around. I no longer have children in school, but my future is dependent upon the children currently in school, and I pay my taxes, I have to say, with some of a cringe, but I also expect the district to be a good steward of the tax dollars collected and always keep in the forefront that whatever's done is done for the betterment of our students, staff, and constituents. Now, on a different note,
Ms. Porter, right here.
oh, sorry.
About a minute and a half.
Okay. It was recently related via the Examiner that our superintendent received a 5% pay increase because he negotiated a contract that allowed for that increase, and that same contract was approved by our board. This is legal and a binding contract, and as such, he has every right to receive that increase. But at the same time, I ask myself this question, and you may ask it yourself. Would it be responsible of me to accept a pay raise when no pay increases were given to employees, vacant positions not filled? I suppose that's a question only our superintendent can answer. But I would like to think that if I was in the superintendent's position, I would say that the district cannot afford for the staff to receive raises and the budget has to be cut, that they could not in good conscience receive a pay raise. If I ask my staff to tighten their belts, I should, by example, be tightening mine first. While I continue to receive a full meal and dessert that would make me no better than the individuals and corporations that are currently receiving a lot of attention in New York, California, and many other states and cities across the nation. One last comment, sir.
You got it.
I ask that our school board launch an investigation into allegations of fear, retaliation, condemnation, or other means of intimidation voiced by the staff via the recent newspaper reports that came about when they attend board meetings or voice a concern to an administrator, and take whatever action is deemed necessary. The staff at Vernia ISD deserves to be able to speak their mind in a healthy manner within a healthy environment without fear. Those that flex their muscles and put fear into others do not have a place in our community. Transparency and trust were two words that Mrs. Mox-Gimba used at the last board meeting, and I think it behooves the superintendent and members of the school board to take those two words to heart and keep the people of this district informed. So what if the board meeting lasts for 2 hours instead of 1? Better to stop rumors before they start and to stop anger before it flares. Thank you.
Just a note of correction on your statement. I don't understand the 5% pay increase. Dr. Harvey didn't get a pay increase. What happened was there is something that we got advice from our attorneys if it's something we could do. Dr. Harvey asked, and as a teacher, you know that it's real important that they maximize their average of the last 3 years for their retirement. All we simply did was take benefits that Lavernia pays them already and moved it over to another line of the paycheck, which actually shows that he's making more, but he didn't get a raise. Dr. Harvey has adamantly never, and he told us never would he want a raise unless his teachers go first. That is a fact. And I just want to make sure that I gave you that information so that maybe you can look into, maybe that 5% might show you that it was really the same pay, it was just kind of inflated from a benefit package that got moved on the line to the average of the last 3 years. Okay, Mr. Bordelon. 5 minutes enough, sir? You sure? I've heard you speak.
Yes, I wrote it down just to be sure I stay within it. So, I'm Alan Bordelon, Director of Technology for Vernia ISD. I serve with the most caring and concerned educational leaders I've met during my 30-plus year career in education. Tonight I'm addressing you regarding allegations of impropriety involving technology systems that have appeared in some online articles and that have been voiced during public forums. In one online article, it was alleged that an online news blog website had been deliberately marked as adult content last week by the school district. The implication was that this was done to stifle freedom of information. As a technology director, I can assure you that there is no conspiracy. A new content filtering appliance, a Lightspeed Rocket, was installed during our Columbus Day holiday on October 10th. When we returned to work on Tuesday, and several times last week, I advised our campus principals and librarians that there may be unintended changes to our internet filtering practices as part of this new appliance. That is, some sites that were unblocked may now be blocked, and some that were blocked may be unblocked. I have been informed of issues with Wikipedia, Yahoo Mail, Wikispaces, and several other sites being erroneously blocked. These site blockings resulted simply from the installation of a new internet content filter, not from any conspiratorial attempt to stifle expression. This is not the first and won't be the last time when filtering upgrades result in blocking errors. I was appalled that the online article also alluded to potential eavesdropping on users within the district, as it stated we have good reason to believe computers who try to access this site may be monitored. I can verify as technology director that there is never any routine monitoring of email messages or communications actively performed by our staff. Examination of messages or logs is only performed when a specific complaint is made or evidence of policy violation arises, and at that time the investigation is performed only as deep as necessary to address and resolve the specific complaint. Examination of message documents and communication logs is not something any of us take lightly. And when an investigation reveals evidence of potential misuse or wrongdoing, the appropriate authorities are always involved, and we are very careful to follow due process. There has also been an implication that Vernia ISD systems lack transparency and obscure information due to the existence of a good old boy system. I have worked with many districts throughout Texas during my 30-plus year career in education, and I have personally observed good old boy systems in action. I can assure you that Vernia ISD's current administration and school board is about as far from the good old boy system as you can get. In fact, we go out of our way to keep the public informed and involve the public in decision-making processes through our district and campus improvement plan committee and many other committees. We recently undertook a major redesign of our websites in order to increase communication with our parents and the community, and we post more sources of information, including check registers, than we are required to post by law. We recently installed a parental notification and communication system that notifies parents of events such as low available funds in a student's lunch account. We go out of our way to be honest and open with the public. It is not evidence of impropriety or a lack of transparency when the topics of public speculation are not addressed on our websites or in our communications. Many times things are going on that we cannot share with the public. People must understand that privacy laws and the need for basic human dignity and decency keep investigations and proceedings under wraps. Just as law enforcement cannot comment to the press regarding ongoing investigations, we cannot reveal the nature of ongoing investigations or actions being undertaken.
Just borderline about a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm almost through. As technology director for Vernia ISD, I can assure you there are no improprieties regarding our technology systems. There is no conspiracy to conceal information, no good old boy system cover-up, no spying on users who may access any specific website. We are simply too busy trying to educate the students entrusted to us to take the time to play I Spy like that. And I'd like to thank the board and to thank all the educators. We have a wonderful team of educators here, and I appreciate all your support. The things that have been mentioned in the paper regarding our cloud technology and all don't happen just because of one person. It's a team effort, and we have an excellent team. Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, Dr. Fisher, you can pass. Okay. concludes our public comments. At this time, we'll move into recognition. Dr. Burgess?
Mrs. Barrett?
My poor students.
Just so everyone understands what we do here every month, we bring 4 members of our senior class to be recognized for their outstanding achievements, whether it be in school or out of school. It gives our community a time to get to know our kids, and gives me a time to get to know our kids better, and the board. They do some great things inside school that we see every day, but we want to recognize what they do outside of school too. So our first one is down on the end, Eric Tuttle. Eric is the son of John and Darla Tuttle, and he plans to attend Southwestern Assemblies of God University and get a degree in world missions. So tell us about some of your church ministry work.
I largely work in kids ministry at my church on every Sunday, whether it's teaching object lessons or performing skits that educate them on the gospel or just fundamental Christian.
So very proud of you. Where do you work at?
Hope Assembly.
I know, but where do you work at for your job?
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut. Eric also runs cross country, and in fact, the district cross country meet is next Thursday in Seguin, so of course we wish our kids the best of luck. And in the spring, he'll compete in UIL science. And he also has an interest in soccer, and that has been talked about a lot lately. So we are very proud of Eric, very proud of his accomplishment, and of course we wish you the best of luck. So Eric Tuttle.
Mr. Tuttle, when you deliver pizzas, do you drive or do you jog? Cross country.
Our next senior is Christina Brown, and Christina is the daughter of Corey and Hazel Brown, and she plans to attend Abilene Christian University and study pre-med, and eventually she wants to become a Baptist Christian. So, and during school she's involved in NHS, and she is currently a member of the Miss Vernia board, and she was also a part of the cross country team. So, talk a little bit about yourself.
Well, right now, I plan on going to the nursing home here in Vernia and start a little group of people within NHS so that we can start visiting the nursing home there. So we can start visiting the nursing home there. Over the summer, I realized that visiting the nursing home, I was in San Angelo, Texas over the summer. That actually made a big impact on the people that we saw. So I suggested
She also, do you still volunteer at your pediatrician's office?
Oh, I start that this Wednesday. I'll be shadowing her, and she's going to have me learn about the do on the file work, and then she's going to show me how she deals with her patients and everything, protocol and all that stuff. So I'll be learning that.
So last question, why pediatrician?
I love children, and I want to, I just have this feeling that I would be great in that area. I love medicine, and it fascinates me. I love children, so I think that would be very good.
And I think Sister Christina's been with us now. She's been in Vernia a year, and just in her little time that she's been here, she has done some outstanding things in the high school, and we're very proud of her. So Christina Brown. With us tonight, we have Haley Zarnick, and Haley is the daughter of David and Robin Zarnick, and she plans to attend either Yale or Rice and be an economics major, and also get her graduate degree, and she would like to either work at a university or within the U.S. political system. So she is one of the members of our standing speech and debate team that we have at the high school. She is also a member of the UIL literary criticism team, journalism, and she is one of our GT students. Very proud of the things that Haley does. So talk a little bit about what she did out in high school.
Most important to me is definitely my time in speech and debate. I've been a member since my sophomore year. This year, I'm our CX captain historian, and last year I was student conference captain. And it really is important to me because it's helped me to grow so much. Aside from speech and debate, I also play piano very poorly. And a lot of UIL events. Recently, I've mostly been doing literary criticism, which I've done since my freshman year. I did compete in the state my freshman year, and I also do
when kids come up here. I have a lot of people to take care of me when I get old. A lot of doctors coming up, so very proud. Zach is involved in Black Play, NHS, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He's a football player, and he runs track. So talk a little bit about your outside.
Well, lately it's been a lot of football. A whole lot of football. But outside of that, it's a lot of FCA stuff that we hear about the Christian athletes. We just recently put on our Field of Faith at the school. It was a huge success. We're really proud of everything that went on. And another thing, on Wednesdays I go and I help teach the 7th grade youth class at St. James Catholic Church. And it's me and Danny Bottoms, another one of the students. We go and get teaching there. And just a lot of trying to give back to the community because I've been here my entire life, almost 19 years now, and just my way of giving back.
And Zach has also in the past helped volunteer for Habitat. And he also, on many of those nights in the spring, he is up at the city park helping to umpire the Vernia ISD. So lots of our students do that. Very proud of you. During their junior year, all of our juniors take the PSAT test. So it's the preliminary test they take, starts getting them ready, but through the PSAT, they can earn honors. And 2 of our students up here have earned honors this year through their outstanding efforts on the PSAT. So Zach Gonzalez has received the National Hispanic Recognition Program Scholar Award. So we are very proud. Over 235,000 students all over the United States. Zach was one of the 5,000. So like I said, outstanding achievement. Very proud of Zach. Can you also give his award, please? Mr. Gendrich. And then the National Merit Scholarship Group also gives out an award. Every year they go on and these kids compete for scholarships throughout the nation. Well, this year they go on and a pool, they look at these kids, they have to have a certain score on their PSAT. They look at that, they move kids on to semifinalists and on to finalists. Well, this year, one of our students has received a letter of commendation, which means she scored high enough on the test to be a part of that pool and is getting national recognition for being that. In April, out of 50,000 of the highest scorers, she was one of the 60,000 picked for this award. So she gets a letter of commendation. Like I said, we do this every month. I'm very proud of our seniors. I'm very proud to be their principal. They do such outstanding things both inside and outside of school. So let's hear it one more time for our seniors.
Okay, that is it on recognition. It is 7:05. We will convene an executive session pursuant to section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, Personnel Matters. Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with legal counsel regarding Senate Bill 100, impact on trustee elections. Consultation with the district attorney regarding proposed resignation agreement with a teacher. Deliberations concerning proposed resignation agreement with a teacher. And we will table item 7 tonight. Consider and take possible action regarding proposed resignation agreement. We will table that one tonight. So anyway, we will now convene the executive session.
board returned at 8:18 p.m. from its executive session.
It is 8:16, we're back in open session. First item, consent agenda. Any discussion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion made by Mr. Watson, seconded by Mr. Shear, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item, accept Lions Club donation. Laura?
Generous. The Vernia Lions Club has made a $500 donation to the district to be used for athletic supplies.
Now, do we get out a nice letter? Great.
And this is the best way to accept donations, go to the regular board of trustees and make a recommendation and keep track of it, and it's a good thing.
That's much appreciated.
$500, it takes a long time to raise $500. Very appreciative of our Lions Club.
All right, we'll look for a motion to accept. Discussion.
I move that we accept the Lions Club donation from $500.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mrs. Gimbel, seconded by Mr. Billichek, to accept the donation of $500 by the Vernia Lions Club. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item, consider joining school funding lawsuit.
Mr. President, we sent out some reading material a couple times pertaining to the Equity Center, and they're funding a lawsuit that they're putting together with districts across the state. And it fundamentally looks at the system, and that they find some disparity type of comparison, where some people will have like $11,000 a kid that they get to educate their children with, and people in Vernia, we get like $4,800. So there's a disparity there that many school districts are entering a lawsuit for. If we wanted to do those kind of things, then we, by joining with the Equity Center, they would charge $1 per watt weighted average daily attendance as our portion of the bill. Doesn't mean that it would cost that, but that would be the maximum number that they would get. Well, Laura, right now, roughly, what's our watt right now? Less than 5,000. Because we go up to 3,100 kids, and you got your special ed, and you got some of the weighted funding, but it'd be less than 5,000.
I just hope they did some sections, and then they did the 4 sections justification. I understand that we left the minimum was that for arbitrary funding distribution and adequacy. They just didn't explaining what their goal was. And I had a hard time putting arms around what they were going to, what did they want us to know?
Well, the problem that some people see is they say, be careful what you ask. Because what some people will do when you come in, when you have a lawsuit and they change the system, theoretically it could be worse too. And there's been some discussion that on the negative side, some of the things, I'm trying to share pros and cons. On the negative side, that if you go into the state of Texas and they don't have the stomach or will or ability to fund schools the way they are, then they may just go back in and make 10 or 11 districts across the state. So there's some negativity about that whenever local patrons are used to having a local school district. So the other side of it is that there are some that are saying that, well, when you look at the schools that are getting the bigger money, typically there's where the power brokers in the legislature. And that's they're just concerned about that.
The only thing we'd be doing is throwing the money into the kitty, because if we do not get involved, from my understanding, and it goes forward, and it's structured as we would benefit, we don't have to put our money in the pot. Is that correct?
That's right.
So
By
really,
the same token, it says that if you can't afford $1 per watt, if you wanted to say what you could afford to assist.
I'm just saying right now, the literature I've got, I don't understand what specifically they're looking for. I mean, they're looking for a statewide lawsuit
on the way
I've
to
got funding, right, but on these adequacy and stuff that they put in here.
What's this?
I didn't follow what they were.
Okay, well, let me talk to you about adequacy then. Adequacy argues that there has to be a number whereby it's large enough to meet the needs of a school district. And that while you could argue that everybody should get $11,000 per kid, the reality of that happening may not be there. So what they will do is they're going to argue that did you give enough adequate funding to support any school system in the state of Texas? So what that means, they'd have to define what the bottom number could be.
So they're asking for a floor.
It's a floor.
Across the state of Texas.
And, no, the equal part of that may not be what they go for. They may come back and say, we want to argue for adequate funding. I think there's also a component, though, there's several people who got into this lawsuit. Some people do not care about adequate. They want everybody to be the same. Equal. And then some others are saying they want adequate funding. And they don't care if somebody else has more money than them, but whatever you do, you've got to provide enough that you can pay for the things that you need to have. But that's going to take some research and study, because who can arbitrarily come up with a number that says, this is the number to educate the children? So there's some work to be done when you start talking about adequacy. Now the West Orange Star lawsuit that they put in some years ago came in and they said adequacy. When they did that, and what they were fighting, and some people look at it, the argument is now that the way we're doing it and the way that it has been done in the past is similar to a statewide property tax. The reality of that, a statewide property tax is illegal in the state of Texas. So they're going to argue that this is a statewide property tax action. So then it comes down to who's going to have the authority to come up with the exact number. Where does that hit? What kind of political storms will come in and say it's adequate? When you say adequate, they could do some things like changing class sizes. There's a lot of things that people can do when they're talking about adequate. And then the funding formulas they would put there to get that adequate.
When do you have to have this deadline?
There's no real deadline. If you notice the date on this, I got this mid to early September. I was reading it, passing stuff to you guys. I knew that, Eric, I knew based on our board of trustees and the way that you guys do, we weren't going to be some of the original complainants. And then I think I forget the exact word, but there's the people that are really involved in the lawsuit, and then you can have these other people that join after that.
So I still time that we wanted to see who all would be involved, what company we were going to keep. If we did it, if we didn't do it,
Yeah.
we can still do that.
Yeah.
Month or whatever, we can do it again.
That's right. What I didn't want you guys to do is to see all the other schools that, we're joining the lawsuit, or you're not, and we get emails all the time. I'm suspecting you've got some. Are y'all joining the lawsuit? And that's the question.
Well, my inclination was at the beginning was that we are such a low district that if there is any equalization, we are going to benefit from it without putting the money in. Because you look at Laredo and you can go all across Texas and it's way up there. And we're so low anyway. Our values are so high. And we're a blessed community, but we have nothing to gain. So to me, it's like throwing money. We have nothing to lose. We have everything to gain. And it's just throwing money away that we're going to gain from anyway. That's my gut. Reading everything.
And that was one reason they wrote in there, look, if you're one of the lower tier districts, then what they would do is if you want to join the lawsuit, they would work with you on the amount of money. I think the thought is they would like to have everybody saying, yes, this is wrong. Just throwing that out to you. Pros and cons of it. I'm concerned about some things too. If you win a lawsuit, what good is it? You really just, it's still a political answer. So the question is, the courts cannot decide how to fund it. The court would simply say, you're right, didn't work. Good. And the legislators are still going to have to come up with some formula.
That's a shame.
For what it's worth, I too wasn't convinced from reading the package that this was something that fits our way. It's big. It didn't really give you any specifics.
Well, there's a lot of reading material still out there. If you want to go, we belong to the Equity Center. They do have a lot of training that Laura and I go to. They provide a lot of training for you guys, and the Equity Center has a website. I encourage you to look at that, and if we decide to keep on reading it, it's equitycenter.com, but I can't promise it. I generally go to Google and get Equity Center. Is it .org?
Don't get e-coin center like I did the first time. All these words involved. So, we're going to take no action? No action. Everybody agree? All right, we're going to get more information at a later time. Next item, consider goods in transit resolution.
Mr. President, we have talked about this a number of times and sent you a number of explanations. It boils down to the state allows for the exemption of goods that are in transit unless you come back and pass a resolution to say that those goods are in fact taxable. We have done that in the past. I don't think that we reap a whole lot of money from it, but whenever you start having some vendors like HEB and others that have things that are coming and going in their inventory and such, it could very well be that it'd be an appropriate tax. We've got to realize that when we're taxing goods in transit now and that runs out, if we don't continue to pass the goods in transit, you're going to have to make up that money someplace, which means you actually could see a minor increase in the property taxes of the homeowner. There are some things that are exempted from goods in transit, which I wish they weren't. Some of them are actually oil. Sorry, Eric. Some of it's oil, and then motor vehicles, like for car dealership or those kind of things. So it's my recommendation that we pass this goods in transit to resolution. I think probably 99% of the school district could do that. It really is a benefit to all the homeowners. And we've been doing it. It's just, you have to renew it every so often.
Motion to pass the goods in transit resolution as presented.
The motion made by Mr. Watson, seconded by Mrs. Gimbel, to approve the goods in transit resolution as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item, CHASB Update 91.
Mr. President, we'd like to make sure that you have the updates well ahead of time to read. We put them in, we send them under separate cover. Whenever you've been calling with questions behind the intent of some of the laws and such. So if you will continue those questions, just make sure that you're fully aware of what you need to vote on. John, you called me about
and to a point though, if there's something that's really good discussion, let's bring it to the table and talk about it. Because I know a lot of times we'll field questions and then we get our questions answered, but maybe somebody else has that question and they're not getting it answered. So,
well, as you know, there's very little latitude amongst these other. It's simply the state law that you approve.
Right.
And then you have to put it in your own policy.
But we're going to consider that next month, right? Vote on it? Yeah. We still need a few days to look at it.
The way this works with the legislators meet, they come in and they pass the laws. In TASB, your representatives put it into the legal update that they send out to you. And if you look at the policies that you typically get, most of them, those are the legal policies. Thank you.
We'll consider that one next month and vote on it. So please have your questions. Next item, last item, consider personnel recommendations, including the addition of teachers, staff.
Mr. President, we continue to grow in some areas. We have our staffing guidelines that we've put together for years, and we have the options, which we're certainly not representing or even presenting tonight as a recommendation, but many school districts have recommended that they request a waiver from the commissioner to not have to be 22 to 1. I think that is a fundamental thing that we need to try to do in the Vernia, and committed to it. We have found some grant dollars, I think, that will help us this year and next for sure. I would hate to have a situation where you're hiring a person only to have to let them go the following year. So that's sort of been what David, through the years that you guys have hit me with your questions. So we have that. And Dr. Fisher, could you share some of the numbers? And
you know, as Dr. Harvey said, we continue to grow, and it's a discussion with Hesa and Christina and at the primary school, we didn't anticipate such growth, but we are over in every grade. And kindergarten over by 6, first grade over by 5, and second grade over by 10. We see in all those areas. And this week, they testify the fact that the state is going to continue to get new. Did you get more today? We got more today. More today. This was as of last week. So, for that reason.
I don't mean to interrupt, but for instance, when you're over by 6, there would be some school districts that would say, that's not a full teacher. Let's wait till we have a full teacher, let's request a waiver. It doesn't make sense for us to do that when we have grant money that we found. And I would also tell you, if we didn't find the grant, as I shared with you in my memo to you, that I would still be recommending it up front. Because I think those are some of the areas that we have done well in, and we want to make sure that we keep that number from there.
So that's what we're requesting for primary grade. And then also we're requesting two additional special education staff, one is the intermediate and one is the junior high. That is because we've got an increase in substitutes, but also because of their individual needs of the students. And also in order to continue to provide the appropriate student support to, as you know, that standards for all students is different. So really feel that we need to have an additional staff member needing junior high. This is to be paid for out of special ed.
And one reason we had the funds there, you remember the decision made on the speech teacher and where we hired our own speech teacher as opposed to contracting? That really saved money into
If we hire these three, it will get us to the 1.
Yeah.
with some really little room, right? But let me say, when it gets to be over 22 to 1 again,
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen that I'm going to be bringing these additional to you.
And we waited by cause, you know, our guys stepped out and wait, you know, a bit till they level off. We didn't know we would leave, but it didn't leave.
Are we growing on other campuses too?
I will send you guys an exact number on that. I will tell you that we have grown. We're not quite 3,100 students, but we're growing. The big thing we look at is individual class size at 22 to 1. So, Art, do you have the exact numbers?
Give me a license next year.
Well, we turned that in on the 13th.
Yeah.
Cheryl, what was the numbers we turned in on the 13th?
We turned in 909.
Uh-oh.
909, but that includes your alternative recommendation and all of it.
Yeah.
And that's at the high school. So some people don't understand how you get to like the 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A. They simply list from top to bottom the sequential numbers, and then they try to draw a line where it makes most sense to have the divisions.
That was one of our training at Austin. We went to that one. Wow, that was pretty interesting.
I don't think it will be 4A this year, but if we continue to grow again, I would be surprised if the next round we would be. But then again, we don't know until everybody gets their numbers in. It could come back and you're a small 4A. It could happen.
We've been listening ever since about 650.
Well,
They keep raising it.
they keep changing it.
No, we're 900.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. They keep changing. And when I say that, I'm going to say they, the UIL keeps changing because the enrollment shifts in the districts. Because you could have one area where you're just growing real rapidly, and what you have seen is that 3A is huge across the state.
What was that guy's name that, he was one of your students, and I texted you at the time?
Yeah. A former student of mine, Jamie Harrison, is going to do UIL director.
And I was talking to him, and because he said his credentials were from Lamar, and you know Doc? Yeah, I know Doc. Anyway, he had kind of alluded that, he kind of explained a little bit how, where Vernia kind of looked at us, and he said there's no way of telling until the final, but he's thinking that based on the economy and stuff like that, you know, Florida, we have a whole group of 4A schools right around here, and he's saying that's kind of how they make that decision. It's not so much the numbers, but that's where they can fluctuate the numbers.
That's right. They can play with the numbers based on
like we go to Yoakum
Yes.
versus go to Floridville. I mean, that saves a lot of money on fuel and transportation and stuff. He said that is a big part of what they decide. So my hunch is we're going to be 4A.
But the thing is, they can put you in 3A and you can decide to go 4A so you don't travel.
Yes.
That's true.
You know, once again, you're probably right, and I'm gonna bet you wrong. I think we will.
I bet you stick with going to 4A.
All right, good. I hope so.
Easy for.
Well, if we go 4A, we could be competing with like Alamo Heights.
It would be like McCollum and all of them down where Floridville is. Is what he was kind of showing me the logistics of. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Little old Vernia going on. That's it.
I remember when Judson was 2A. Shows my age.
Okay. So recommendation.
I make a recommendation that the board approve these 5 teachers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendations for the additional personnel.
Second.
We have a motion made by Mr. Frederick, seconded by Mr. Belichick, to approve the personnel recommendations of the addition of teachers and staff as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
I move we delegate the superintendent authority to hire these positions as presented until the next regular scheduled board meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a motion made by Mr. Watson, seconded by Mr. Shearer, to give the authority to the superintendent to hire these positions until the next regular scheduled board meeting. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. President, I also will under the same
Can I
title.
explain why we do that? Sometimes it has to be board approval on hires. We have to approve it, but on a case of a teacher, we don't really hire them. It's the principals and that type of thing. So what happens is we have to give the authority to the superintendent so that we don't have to call a special meeting to just sign off on it. So we give him the authority, but he always informs us of who it is and that type of thing. So
You don't want to lose a good person.
yes, because somebody could come up next week and we can't all meet and we may lose them. So that's why we do that.
Mr. President, under number 6 also, you had approved the hiring of a counselor, and I have that counselor's application, and I'm recommending that we hire as presented.
That is the junior high?
Yes. I want to thank Mr. McCaskill and Ryan Fisher for getting all that together.
Any discussion from the council?
It takes a separate motion.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I probably should have.
That wasn't in there.
That wasn't in 5 teachers yet.
I move we hire the junior high counselor as presented.
We have a motion made by Mr. Watson, seconded by Mr. Belichick to approve the hiring of the counselor at the junior high as presented. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. It is 8:44 with no further business. This meeting is adjourned.